Hi, Erik, Linask here in Las Vegas at Interop, and I'm talking now with Michael Tresh from Viridity. Michael, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, certainly one of the big trends that we've started seeing is an increased focus on energy efficiency, particularly in data center environments. Why are we seeing so much interest there?
Well, that's a great question. It's one of the problems that we're trying to address, as a matter of fact. There's been a greater kind of visibility into the cost of running a data center. Electricity is a primary cost in that, and secondary driver is running into space issues. Is there capacity in my data center? So you've got these kind of two metrics that are forcing people, where in the past they might have solved it by adding more electricity to the data center or expanding into a new building. They don't have that capability anymore, so they're looking for ways of doing more with what they've got. So we've kind of attacked that by saying, let's look at finding ways of exposing new capacity and making more and more kind of efficient use of what you've got in your data center.
So there are a couple of different approaches when you're talking about looking at efficiency, energy efficiency in data center. And you guys do it a little bit differently than a lot of other folks out there. Tell me about that.
Sure. So there's a lot of companies out there that will tell you how much your supply of electricity is as it runs through the data center. It's good information to have. It'll give you relevant information up until about the plug. But on the other side of the plug is the server, and the server is what drives the the business. And if you don't understand what that server is using as far as consumption goes, you really don't have it tied back to the business. We take the approach of measuring energy consumption from the server level, and by doing that, we can say this server is using a certain amount of electricity, and help you see that there's value in that server. And then if there's no value in that server, we can also let you know that.
So is it effectively the difference between looking at real usage versus maximum usage?
Well, so kind of getting back to that capacity, when you think about how many racks are kind of provisioned, they're kind of set up to say this rack is going to be a 5 kW rack. And then someone will go to their servers and they'll look at the server and they'll say, this is a 500 watt server, 500 watt server. They'll basically look at the nameplate of that server and add it up and say, that's what will fit in this rack. Well, that's not a very clear picture as to what's actually going on in that rack. So what we'll do is we'll understand the energy use in that server, its actual use. And that way you can get a very clear picture of how much real capacity is remaining in that rack. So if you needed to increase your capacity, for example, you can know with confidence that there's still power available and you can put another server in there.
So by having all this real energy utilization information, what does that allow data centers to do?
So what it allows them to do is really tie back to the business. They can start to go and look at ways of going to an accounting department, for example, and saying, hey, look, you are using X amount of electricity for all of these servers. And by the way, you've got these 5 servers that you're paying for that aren't actually doing anything useful for the business. We're monitoring their utilization, and they're basically flatlined. We should do something about that.
Now, as a startup company with a slightly different business model or a slightly different approach to energy utilization, how are you finding it entering the market?
Well, because of that kind of confluence of factors going in, there's an awful lot of excitement that seems to be getting generated in this market space. So we find that the problems that people are having are something that that our messaging is actually addressing, and that our product addresses as well. So we're really kind of excited about the kind of the way of the world right now. It looks very positive.
Excellent. Okay. We've been talking here with Viridity's Michael Tresh. Michael, thank you very much for joining me this morning, and good luck.
It was my pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thanks.